Today we are going to look at creating your own StateCraft simulation. You must go to StateCraftSim.com as seen in the URL. Once you're at this home page, click Free Professor Account in the top right hand corner. When this page loads, scroll down until you see the click here to make a free world. You must register yourself as a user. It's completely free for teachers. I created an account already, so I'm going to just log in. I'm going to log in correctly. It would take you to this main page where if you had multiple classes, it would show up in this area under administered current simulations, so it would separate your classes for you. There are instructions for how to set up your simulation. It's really easy and spelled out for you here. It tells you how to even grade your assignments according to the simulation. There's also a way to in this guide, there's also a way to assign students to a country. Either the game can do it or you can do it. Email support, you can write them an email or call. They are very quick with getting responses back to you. There's also a guide on how to integrate this into your classroom already set up for you. It's literally pretty much giving you kind of like a lesson guide. So you don't even really need to think about that. You can just kind of add your own twist to it. The StateCraft student manual, they will all have to take a quiz, or you can set up a quiz for this manual, which is good because this spells out everything that's going to happen in the game. It is highly suggested that you read everything in here because it has all the answers to the game in it when you critically analyze everything in it. Clearly it's not going to be the same result every time, but these are really great guidelines if you analyze it and take the time to come up with your own strategies. There's recommendations and tips for you. This is just a great resources for you to use. Now, to set up your own simulation, you will go to the left-hand side and click Create Simulation. You need to put for course information, you need school name. I'll just put Millersville University. Course code, I already use EDFN Tech, so I'm going to just say EDFN Tech 2. Course name, Integrating Technology. Next step. Simulation code. This would be how students find your class. So we can do EDFN Tech 2. And you would want the simulation StateCraft. That's the only option you have, so click that. How many students you have would clearly vary by your class. I'll just say 30. And how they are going to be assigned to their countries. Either you can assign them, or you can have the simulation assign them. They just take a test, so they figure out what government they should belong, or how their feelings and attitudes towards certain things are. So everybody in their groups normally have the same opinions. I find that easier. What time zone you are for the turns. Then you get to choose how long the simulation runs. It is suggested that you run it from 7 to 10 turns. That is 7 to 10 weeks. So clearly this assignment is going to have to be planned out ahead of time at the beginning of the year, just so you have enough time to complete the whole simulation. I'm just going to say I want my simulation to start on this Sunday, November 9th, and have 8 turns. You choose when the simulation starts. I'll just say Sunday because it's the start of a new week at 8 a.m. and then it will end Saturday at 8 p.m. You also have the ability to deactivate StateCraft during holidays. That way students don't have to worry about doing the simulation over breaks. So Thanksgiving is coming up, so I'll just say that it is ending during this period of time, so there will be 1 week without the simulation. Next step. And then select your map. So it's highly recommended that you use the StateCraft map, but you can use real world maps when you request them. Payment options. This is something that needs to be paid for. Either the school could pay for it or you can have students pay for it by themselves. Since I do not have organization payment right now, I'm going to click student payment. They can pay on their own time, but clearly before the simulation starts. And then click finish creating your simulation. This is the country that I have just created for my students. As you can see, it has clear borders. This would be one country. This would be another. If you read the student manual, you know that these are mountains that have slaves in them and things like that. This is an island that has some rich materials and things that students would benefit from having. However, if a student were to go to this island, pirates would end up taking over and they would start a war. So that's something that students would need to think about. There is a chat option down here for when your students are online. You can chat with them if need be. There's a list of country reports every week. At the end of the turn or start of a new turn, you would get a country report on how the country is doing. You would get how much gold and resources that they gained throughout the turn, what technologies they have, what they built, and so you can see how each country individual group is doing. So you can give them feedback based throughout the entire simulation. It wouldn't just be at the end of the simulation. A list of your students would pop up if you had them listed, and pending assignments and their what they were assigned. Their turns list is again how many weeks your simulation goes. If you find out that your simulation is too long or the students are not liking it, so you want to edit it, you can do that, or you can delete your turns. God control. This is kind of cool. You get to play God, either on all countries or just certain countries, if it would drop down. You can mess with how much gold they have or oil, all their resources. You can take them away. Say that there was a tsunami that flooded a certain country and they lost 500 gold. They would have to react to that because it would clearly mess up whatever strategy that they had. But that's a real life thing that would be occurring in a country. Course documents, if you had any, they would all be here. The manual is here and shows you everything that's in your simulation for it to show up and how much you would need. So if a student wanted to buy a gold mine, it would require the gold mining technology. They can build 3 per city that they have. This would be the effects of buying their gold mining, or their gold mine, and this would be the cost. So in order to even get this gold mine in their country, they would need to have this many resources and have the technology to gold mine. They need to work together in order to get all of their technologies and trade resources if need be. This is your Quizlet. You can create a quiz in order to make sure that they're on task if you think for some reason that they need a quiz. There's a grade book just based off of all of these StateCraft things, so it's all in one place. Might be useful instead of carrying around and making sure that you have all these things from all these different students. It's all on one database. And then this would all be based on the countries and news. At the start of every turn, there is a flood of messages that the students get. They would get all of their country reports listed here. If they have ambassadors in their countries, they would get all of those reports and any messages that you wanted them to get. So if you wanted to create a distraction and say, I hear there's a rumor going around that a certain country is building a nuclear bomb, and see how the students react to that, that would create an interesting situation in the game that the students would have to adjust to. After all of this is set up, it's all basically put on the student to work together as their own country, and then collaboratively with other countries to create treaties and groups and see how their world turns out. I hope you have fun working with StateCraft Simulation.